vandalism calls for service, generating 2 reports. One was a damage to a vehicle, another one was a possible BB gun to a window. 8 trespassing, generating 2 reports. 2 subjects entered a house under construction in one of those cases, and a subject was sleeping in the back of someone's property. 1 phone scam, a caller asking the victim to buy Walmart gift cards and then transmit the information to them. That allows them to cash those gift cards. We had 23 suspicious circumstances calls and generated 2 reports, and one of those was possible drug activities. Other notable comments that I have brought up were we had 70 firework-related calls for service in 2020 compared to 35 in 2019, so double the amount of calls for service related to that. The Sheriff's Office continues to work with our local business partners to help them understand the COVID-19 orders and ensure compliance with that. And lastly, effective September 26th, Commander Jay Wells will be taken over here at the South Station. I will pass his contact information along. And that's my report.
Wow.
Well, I'd like to move that we protest the loss of Commander Manueli to the Oceano Sheriff Substation.
Yes. Why are we losing him?
No reflection on your successor, Commander.
I greatly appreciate your support, and that's a very nice gesture. It's a move of all commanders throughout the Sheriff's Office to give additional commanders different opportunities to work at different stations and different divisions and get experience so that we're well-rounded throughout the entire department.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh my, how long have you been in this position?
I have been here for about 1.5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
It's been very enjoyable. I really enjoy it here. It's a very good station, great community, and we continue to work well together.
And where are you going?
I am going to the North Station at the Templeton office.
Okay.
A little bit different.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes.
We're going to miss you.
Thank you. I will miss you as well. This has been a very enjoyable assignment. I will dearly miss it.
Yes.
Commander, what was the name of your replacement again?
Jay Wells, W-E-L-L-S.
Okay, thanks. I do have a question for you. If you know, I've had some inquiries from people in the community about the signs regarding surveillance at the intersection of the Pike and 22nd Street. Do you know how long those cameras have been there?
You know, I think those have been there about 1 year.
Mm-hmm. And then the other question was, did the Sheriff's Office get community input before putting those up?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Why is that?
It's a tool used by law enforcement to protect the communities, and it's based on what we believe would be the most valuable information to protect the communities. So we put it on areas where we think high traffic, high mobility, people coming in and out of the area. So if we were to have a crime, where would we be most likely to gather information to help us solve that and protect the community?
I'm sure you can understand, though, that some people who live in that area might be concerned about privacy issues, being under constant surveillance when they pass through there.
I do understand that, yes.
Yeah, so I'm just a little surprised that the community wasn't asked for any feedback on that before the cameras went up. I know the situation was different at the Strand because that neighborhood was asking for cameras after Larry Bross's murder, but it seems that wasn't the case here.
Are these large, obvious cameras? or are they kind of hidden?
They're not large and obvious, but they are clearly marked with a blue light. You will see the sign, and you will see a blue light indicating them. They're throughout the state and the nation. They're a very common tool used. You'll see them along Grand. You'll see them through Arroyo Grande. You'll see them, used by the Highway Patrol for traffic, for all kinds of reasons. Yeah, it's not something that we sit there and snoop and watch people. It's to protect and gather information should we have a serious crime, a shooting or a stabbing or something that could help us.
Okay. Does anyone else have any further comments for the commander?
I'd just like to say a personal thank you to you, Commander. I don't think I've had many experiences in my life in a kind of a local community like this where the commander of law enforcement makes himself so available, and you're personable, and I know that you have a compassionate heart, and that comes through. And you were always open to, get us information if you didn't have it. And I thought always, you're a good listener. And so I really just want to wish you best wishes. And I know you'll be appreciated up in your new post as much as you were here. So thanks a lot for your service.
Thank you. Those are very kind words. And I am passionate about what we do and taking care of our community. And, if I can be out there in the community and get the feedback and get the concerns, just like they were brought to me right now, and learn from that and help make our relationship better, because it is a community relationship. It's a partnership that we have to have in order to do our job. We can't do this alone. So that's my goal. That's, one of my important pedestals, and I keep working towards that. So thank you very much.
I would like to second what Mr. Varney just said. You're definitely you seem to be the most engaged representative of the sheriff's office that I've come across, with your concern for the well-being of the community and willingness to listen to our issues. So we are going to miss you, and thank you very much for the time that you spent here in Oceano.
Thank you. I wish I had more. I really do.
We do too. And
you've heard me say before, and I really, really was looking forward to addressing the fireworks and 4th of July issues. I will have to pass that torch on to my comrade who will be coming into the station, but it is important to me because I realize how it has impacted and affects all facets of the community, but we'll continue to work towards that.
Yes, thank you. And Chair Villa, Ms. Drury has had her hand up for some time now.
Go ahead, Ms. Drury. I'm sorry, I thought she was like, I know, I saw you doing that, but I wasn't sure if.
You should be able to unmute yourself, but I will ask you to unmute right now.
I tried multiple times or I wouldn't have bugged you, I promise. And the chat is disabled, so I'm not able to just surreptitiously quietly say unmuted. So that was it. I just wanted to be unmuted so I could participate in the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, you should all be able to unmute yourselves. I've allowed that, so if you're not able to do it, please let me know.
Hey, Commander, if you ever decide to run for county sheriff,
Yeah.
call.
Well, I appreciate the support. I appreciate the support.
Only District 4 though.
I'm happy being a commander right now.
I know you are. Thank you.
All right. Everybody have a nice evening. It's been a pleasure. You have my number. Don't hesitate to reach out to me if there's something I can help with.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you and good
Thank
evening.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Do we have any public comment for the report? Anybody have any public comment?
They do not. Well, they do not.
Hey, Benny.
Chair Via, I don't see any members of the public here. It's just the council.
Okay,
Madam Chair,
yes,
I don't know if we can, I'd just like to raise a suggestion, and I would be happy to draft a letter of appreciation for Commander Manueli's service here in the community to send to the Sheriff's Office on behalf of the council, that I could draft it up and then we could officially approve or disapprove it at the next meeting if people would like to make that gesture.
I think it's a great idea.
I agree.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, well, I'll do that and I'll send it around later.
Thank you, Charles.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay, next on our list is presentations. Do we have any presentations? Don't think we have any presentations that I know of. Next on the list, review and approval of minutes for the July meeting. You want to take 30 seconds or so to review the minutes and then have someone motion to approve the minutes. You have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved?
Okay. Second? I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Passed. Approved. Minutes approved. Next, we have the business items, new business, time limits on meetings. Greatly needed.
Yeah, I would suggest that we limit the meeting to say 2 hours or even an hour and a half. And, you know, if it's going to go past that, then we have to approve extending it.
Maybe 1.5 is a little bit too small, but 2 hours, I agree. It shouldn't go over 2 hours. Yeah. Yeah. That's a
Anyone?
long meeting.
Oh, I have myself off camera because I'm eating dinner and it probably is not something you want to watch an old man do. But I don't know, I think with the capacity to just like agree to go another 15 minutes or something, to have it at an hour and a half, kind of Lucia, to address your concern. It doesn't mean we have to shut it down, but it might help us just keep a little more focused on the clock. And so it's not a big deal. I would support either one, but I like the hour and a half better.
Anybody else want to say something? Then I will. I think the hour and a half, like Charles says, is great. And then if we want to go another 15 minutes so that we know for sure it's not going to go into over 2 hours.
That sounds like a good compromise. I'll go for that.
I'm for keeping it between an hour and a half and 2 hours, and as we lock into the agenda and have things available that we don't have to guess on anymore, that will help narrow it down time-wise and keep us within this time frame.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll move that we limit our meetings to 90 minutes extendable upon a majority vote by the council in 15-minute increments.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Sounds
sounds
good.
good.
Was there a second in there? I didn't hear.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Charles.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Aye. Passes
Aye.
unanimously. Okay. Next, we have candidate, on the list, we have candidate forum for discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is my item, and it is certainly very much within our purview of responsibility in terms of, you know, providing opportunities to educate the public and inform the public. And, you know, the election of board members is certainly very key to what we do. And so I would like to propose that we do have a candidate forum, that all of the declared candidates, which I think now is finalized, be invited at a, you know, time and place to be determined. And you know, and we will need to have you know, a little team of people to facilitate that. And it would be appropriate for there not to be any of the council members on that facilitation team. Typically, the League of Women Voters has done this. I don't know. I think that their bandwidth is fairly small. It has been for the past couple years or so, but I would be happy to contact them on behalf of the council to see if they would be willing to moderate a forum, which would probably be the format typically is people submit written questions that are then asked of all the candidates. And what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candidates. Is that correct?
6.
6. Okay. So should probably give at least a couple of hours for that to, you know, give every person enough face time that people can get a sense of them. And I think we should have a venue larger than the OCSD meeting room, whether that's the school or maybe another public facility. That's like kind of like.
So,
Yeah,
do
yeah.
you think we can do it out physically, out in person?
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah, that's right.
So
Yeah.
I can tell you right now that I'm
Not
comfortable in participating in a public meeting.
Uh-huh.
This, for me, this would need to be virtual in order for me to attend, but
Mhm.
I feel a little odd commenting on this since I am one of the candidates. I'm supportive of having a candidate forum, but I think the non-candidates should be the ones to set the parameters on that. And obviously I would not be able to facilitate a virtual meeting like I'm doing right now because I am one of the candidates.
Yeah.
Sure,
Okay.
sure.
I apologize for forgetting that we're in a pandemic. And yeah, certainly it would have to be virtual. So, what time frame? When would be a good time period to be looking at doing this? Sometime in September.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, election starts October 5th. So we really need to have it in September.
Yeah.
Okay. Would anybody on the council that's not a candidate like to kind of team with me on, you know, doing some of the logistics on what this would look like whether we're going to use Zoom or some other platform or anything like that.
Charles, do you want us to put it on, not the League of Women Voters?
I will see if usually what the League of Women Voters, the way they operate, Aline, is the agency or organization, they do all of the logistics for it. And in old days, I mean, it would be like they get the auditorium, they do all the publicity, and they simply come in and kind of run the meeting.
Wow.
So I would imagine that they probably don't have a lot of capacity around doing virtual events, since they were kind of stretched about doing non-virtual ones. But I'll be happy to call them up and get into that. I do know some people who are kind of professional virtual meeting facilitators in terms of, I mean, basically being able to monitor who's speaking. Obviously we need to have it to be an appropriately controlled atmosphere. Everybody
Yes.
muted, only unmuted by the facilitator, or maybe not even if we're soliciting questions from people through the chat, then there may not be any reason to have public interaction.
Yeah.
From between the audience and the candidates.
Hmm.
And we can record it if that's all the candidates are comfortable with that, and then it can be a public document as well.
Yeah. Well, we could make a list of issues that we would like each candidate to address.
Mm-hmm.
And then, for
Absolutely.
example, we can structure the meeting so that each candidate will have a certain amount of time addressing those specific issues. Okay, and so that's gonna cover what people's concerns are, because if there are concerns, there probably are the community's concerns too. So that could be a part of the meeting, maybe the beginning of the meeting. I think that's when I went to the Women's League did something at the Trilogy, and that's how it was. I think I don't remember who he was, but yeah, he had a series of issues that he was supposed to speak on. So I think that would be a good thing to do. I would like to hear, for example, what each one of them has to say about water, about the fireworks, about the beach. So
Well, it sounds like maybe you want to work together on that, Lucia.
Mamma mia.
Hola.
Okay. Yeah, let's work together.
Okay. Good. That'll be
Okay.
a good experience for us.
Okay, we will do what we can and get some ideas. But you're gonna contact the league, okay?
Yeah, yes, I'll do that. But you and I get together. We'll get together over the next few days and decide. So when we're going to meet together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, and figure out some details, and then propose them to the council.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe just even propose them through the emails. We don't because it's going to be too late. It's September.
We need to get on this and get it going.
Right. But you know what? I don't even know who the candidates are. I know Cynthia, April, Karen, right?
No.
Who else?
It's me, April, Rio Cordes, and then on the other side, Linda Austin, Shirley Gibson, and Barney Foster.
No other sides, just the 6 candidates.
Well, they are on the other side. Oceano's got a choice, but
okay, so there are 6.
Yeah, there's six candidates, 3 seats open, and I would suggest in your discussions that you leave me and April off of that, since we are candidates. Should be the rest of the council planning it. And April's got her hand raised again. April, Chair Via, who's running the meeting. I don't know if you can see when a hand is raised. Can you see that, Director Via, on your phone?
I can't know.
Okay, so it's probably best, since we've got
Put
such
it-
a small group, you can just chime in, April, and not actually raise your hand on the screen, because
Oh, just
I think
kind
I'm the only one seeing that.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll wait when we're ready for opening discussion to everybody.
I wanted to say, Charles, that the reason I think I would really like the League of Women Voters. I went to one and I noticed, I think it was the one here in Oceano, they bring in interpretation, and I think that would be cool if you could provide that.
Mhm.
interpretation, you mean in Spanish?
Yes,
Yeah, that's excellent.
they bring it in, and I think they have funds to cover that. So we could ask.
But how would that work virtually? I mean, the first thing we have to resolve is that, can they handle a meeting? Can they handle something like that virtually?
Mm.
Well,
Never
okay,
experienced it.
you called them up.
Okay. So I move that the Oceano Advisory Council sponsor a public forum for candidates for the advisory council at a convenient time in September. And the planning group for that will be Council Member Varney and Castellano, and maybe even La Presidente maybe want to join in as well.
Okay, we'll do.
Okay.
I second.
Were we gonna open it up to other people discussing it?
Oh, okay.
Been waiting for.
I think Cynthia said that it's not wise to discuss because you're a candidate.
I'm not wanting to run it or anything, but I have ideas, I have thoughts. I'm allowed to share them, I think.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. An alternative to the League of Women Voters is the Latino Outreach Council. They have also hosted. So when you say that I shouldn't participate, I really actually do have things that I think you could hear. You don't have to do them, but at least let me say them. So I think the LOC would be a viable alternative, or even maybe a second option to hosting this. They also probably would be helpful in terms of the translation aspect for any of it. So those two things. Another suggestion that I have, and it's really not even a suggestion, it's having attended a lot of these things over the years, I would really ask that whoever does host it, whoever is in charge of gathering the questions, understands what the scope of the OCSD is. I don't want questions about being allowed to drive on the dunes. I'm the OCSD. I have nothing to do with that. So why waste our time? So my thought I want to pass on to whoever's going to be in charge of this is make sure that the questions pertain to the jurisdiction of the OCSD and what we can do. Because I can promise you the moon, but as an OCSD director, I can't give you the moon.
That's a great idea, and I think the Latino Council should be the one that does it. Being that we are over half Latino here in Oceano, they kind of owe it to us, right?
Yeah.
If any of you have the contact information for the Latino Outreach Council, I would appreciate that.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I just want to, I'm going to abstain from this vote.
Mhm.
I also will abstain from the vote. I just wanted to offer some ideas.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so I second it. I think it's a great idea. The Oceano Beach Community Association was going to sponsor one too. So I think it's wonderful. Absolutely. So we need to do it. I'll do the best I can, Charles, and figure this out.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes 3-2 abstained. Okay, next on our list, we got the, public comment. We don't have anyone for public comment. Old business, additions to the rules of decorum for members repeating violations. I think we have a draft letter.
Yeah.
Consequences for violations. Did everyone see that or get time to read it?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. I think he did not really reflect exactly what we had discussed. I thought that the letter was a little bit too repressive. I think the letter calls for two, one out, and this one mistake, one break, and then you're reprimanded on the second. Can you tell us, refresh us just on that?
I think that it was, I don't have it right here in front of me.
It's in the agenda.
Yeah.
Scroll down.
Okay. Okay, well,
Yeah.
I can
how about somebody who has it? Could you just, could
read
somebody
it.
screen share it, please?
Okay, rules of decorum for OAC, consequences for violation. The OAC chair meeting facilitator is expected to uphold the rules of decorum in a fair and unbiased manner. If a member clearly violates one of the rules, they will be given a warning. If they violate a second time in the same meeting, they will be banned from further participation in that meeting. If they are banned from a second meeting, their membership for the OAC will be terminated.
So you're thinking, Lucia, like two strikes and you're out is a little harsh?
I would give two warnings. I think it's extreme because everybody makes mistakes. Yeah, everybody's lips. So people are giving it another chance, and the number two is it's another chance, and then you're out for the meeting.
Oh, okay. Two warnings and then the third time they leave the meeting?
Yeah. We all make mistakes, and and I say we all get rude sometimes. I know we all do, and I get okay. I'm rude. I get reprimanded. Then I'm rude again. I don't know. It's a close call, but I'm a follower on this. This is just my guts. We don't want to be too hard. We don't want to be too hard.
Maybe a way to think about this is everybody think of an example of a clear example of a time when these rules of decorum were violated. Let's say somebody used a profanity in reference to another person.
Yeah.
So in that meeting, okay, profane reference first time, warning, same profane reference or similar a second time.
Yeah.
Another warning. And then the third time in the same meeting, they call somebody whatever.
You're right.
So does that sound like that's like, you want to go with 3 times somebody?
No, you're right. I want to hear somebody call me a bitch 3 times. No, you're right.
So the second time would be like, hey, you're.
Yeah.
Note to self, only twice. I can follow that rule.
You're a bitch. Okay.
I'm good. That's kidding.
I don't ever say the B word. Well, like that. I'm sorry. I apologize, ladies. But I was okay. I'm embarrassed.
We can see that. You're turning red.
So Lucia,
yeah.
2, 3. You think?
Yeah. If I remember when I was a school teacher, my kids, they would get a check mark if they misbehaved. The second check mark was detention. Was no. So exactly.
And so the guideline is that if they do that in 2 meetings,
Yeah,
then it's like,
yeah, I
it's,
agree.
you're not, we don't want that kind of behavior on the council.
And what about if one says, I'm sorry, okay, the first time? Because, you know, as I say, I lost my temper. I'm really sorry, Charles, forgive me.
Well, I think it'd
That-
be, why don't we just go around the group and hear from everybody? Because
Yeah,
I'm not necessarily arguing
Yeah.
this way or another.
No.
I'm trying to get
no,
people
exactly.
clarified on it.
You want to say something, April?
I really, again, feel like I'm walking in the middle of an already existing conversation because this had to do with stuff before I ever showed up. So I don't really know the examples. I know that if you call me a bitch the 3rd time, that would upset me. The 1st time is an accident. The 2nd time, you should have some kind of ramification, maybe just being muted the rest of the meeting. And then the next meeting, you get one more shot, and then your next shot would be considered the 3rd one.
Yeah.
That's just my thought. I don't know. Again, I'm walking into the middle of an already existing issue.
Yeah.
That may not be in place anymore.
I'm
think
kind of
Charles'
agreeing
plan
with,
is more than fair.
Okay.
I think Charles' plan is more than fair.
okay. I'm kind of agreeing with Charles also myself, only because of the severity of how aggressive some of this has gotten. Some of the personalities are very strong and very offensive. And if you call me, you know, the B word or whatever word in a very offensive way, I'm already upset. I know personally I would get upset, and I'm going to be probably upset for the rest of the meeting. And so if you call me that or another name, then I'm really pissed. And then that does nothing for the relationship with the board. So I'm kind of I'm seeing what Charles is saying.
Let me put out one more hypothetical, because I think, you know, somebody using the B word or that in that genre is, in my experience, well, that has happened more frequently lately, but it's more like somebody who is butting in, over talking, dominating, not listening, making snide remarks that don't include profanity, but they are definitely not behaving in a civil manner, or basically kind of respecting the rules of participation and being called on by the chair and that sort of stuff. And you know, I personally, I don't see a reason why the same, like, you know, 2 strikes in your, and I like, AJ, I mean, your notion about maybe 2 strikes and you're muted for the rest of the meeting. As opposed to being snuffed out for the rest of the meeting. I mean, you're really sitting there, but you're kind of in the corner, you know, with, you know, you're in timeout, right, basically. And that might be a kind of good deterrent for people. Although I would imagine if somebody's in that situation, they'll probably just leave the meeting. But I think that's a more kind of civil way to deal with it.
So I think it's better to actually have them leave the meeting, because if they've done something twice, then temperatures are probably running hot amongst everybody, and just having them there, you know, sitting on the Zoom, rolling their eyes or whatever, or making faces, not going to be not going to be good for the rest of the meeting.
No.
I did finish my dinner and I turned on my camera, but it's not working. The only way to fix that is to restart my computer, and if I do that, everybody will get thrown out of the meeting, I think, and the recording will stop. So you don't get to see my face tonight, sorry.
Excuse me, I need some clarification now. if I violate a second time, then does it require a vote to ban me, to ban the person? Does it require a vote?
It's,
I would think it would, yes.
Okay.
I
So
would
somebody
think
has to motion. So somebody has to motion, hey, I feel offended about what you say. This is very rude. And this is the second time you do it to me. So I motion that you are banned. Is that the scenario?
If I could suggest, I think banning somebody from the rest of the meeting for 2 violations could be something that the chair does in her powers of enforcing the rules of decorum. If it gets to the point where it's the second meeting and they're on their second warning and their second meeting and we're actually going to throw them off. Yeah, I guess even in that situation, I don't think there should be a vote unless it's just to determine whether they violated the rules of decorum or not, because that's going to be our rule.
Right.
Right.
So you might get in a situation where you have a majority member who is being really obnoxious and violates the rules of decorum, and they get up to their 4th warning and they're, 2 times and they're in the second meeting, and the majority says, well, we want to keep this person on, so too bad. And then the whole rule is just thrown out that way, right? So it seems in order to be consistent and make sure that the rule is going to be enforced, you wouldn't want to get in that position of giving a majority the chance to just veto the whole enforcement of the rule.
Yes, because I can see how we all have different ideas on what is rude and what is not rude. I experienced it myself in this very meeting. I'm sorry, I don't want to make a big deal, but I think we're running into trouble if say I didn't think that was rude. Well, I felt very offended by it. So we gotta. It seems to me that it's a little bit too violates. Who's going to decide that the rule was violated? Again, you're thinking, so it's the chair. The chair should be should take that decision. Yeah. Fine.
Yeah, well, that is putting a lot of power in the hands of the chair too, and the chair could be a majority member who doesn't want to get one of their friends kicked off and is going to ignore it. But
Right.
yeah, I don't know how you deal with it if somebody's going to throw the rule out. Maybe we shouldn't. I mean, that's the kind of society we live in right now where people decide rules don't apply to them, but maybe we shouldn't be planning for that worst case scenario.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, when you look at the the rules, like don't do side conversations, don't interrupt, refrain from derogatory remarks. I mean, those are can be fairly, to Lucia's point, fairly subjective interpretations. I mean, I think other cases are very clear. I mean, the use of profanity towards somebody.
Right. Exactly.
That kind of thing. So I mean, it is a slippery slope. I mean, just to go into this room is kind of to not raises the possibility of some pretty sticky situations. On the other hand, I don't see how it would be reasonable to just, in this case, empower the chair to make a determination on whether this is a side conversation or 2 interruptions and you're banned from the meeting. It's, it's kind of nuanced. It's always situational. I mean, some of us blurt out, and we're not blurting out a meanness or whatever, but it's just like kind of irrepressible, and but there's no malintent, and it's like, oops, I'm sorry, oh, I did it again. I mean, that's different than just bullying in somebody. So I think we would have to have, before we really did the most serious thing of kicking somebody out, I mean, off the council, we would have to do that with a vote, Cynthia. I don't see how we could, I mean, I wouldn't want to be the chair making that call by myself. There needs to be some sort of, if it's,
Yes, consensus, yes.
Mhm.
Need to be some consensus, yes. How about if we just handle it as it comes, you know?
I agree,
When-
Lucia.
That's what was happening and caused us to get to tonight.
What? April, say it again?
I said that's what we had been doing this whole time, which caused us to get to tonight.
I
So
I
the way
haven't
this
been,
is- Sorry, Lucia, go ahead.
no, I'm just saying that whenever the situation arises that we think somebody's been disrupting, then we will address it and we find the best way to address it right then. We
Mm.
can't cover our butt, we can't cover our bases for all scenarios. I'm just worried that some people might say, you are ganged up against me. No, you're all, because that's what they said. So I think that as it comes up, that's the best we can do. Otherwise, we're going to talk for the rest of the evening on this.
Yeah.
So the way this is written in the passive voice, it's not specifying who is doing the banning. So it would allow for a board at a council at a future time to decide how that action is taken. But at least we could have the rule in place so that we can point to it and give warnings.
Yeah.
And people are aware, you know, if they get to the fourth strike, they're on thin ice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's a good compromise, and I think we all hope that this just serves as a deterrent to people. And, you know, we don't have, this isn't, I don't think anybody wants to pass this in the spirit of like, okay, now I can kick somebody off the thing. It's like, you know, we just want this to be a place that we don't all get heartburn over. Okay.
So are we going to have a vote on this or not?
Well, I move that we adopt the consequences for violation as proposed and added to the
Yeah.
rules of decorum.
Second.
Discussion?
So did we agree that it is going to be put up to a vote after it's decided that they have done a violation? Did we agree on that, or?
We kind of agree that we will address it then if there is a need. But at least we have that possibility. Didn't this what we said? I understood.
Cynthia, I'm sorry, but I don't have it in front of me, but it doesn't have that, like, as you said, that is not clarified in the statement that there would be a
Right.
vote of the body.
It says if they are banned from a second meeting, their membership on the OAC will be terminated.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't say who's deciding to terminate them or
Right.
anything. So, but the first sentence says the chair is expected to uphold the rules. So the chair would be implicitly the one who is giving the warnings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think it's written with enough enough vagueness that it's good as a deterrent, like you said. And if we ever get to the point of somebody who's gotten their 4 warnings, then
Yeah.
we'll have the opportunity to discuss it and decide if the board wants to actually enforce that and bar them or not.
I can live with that easily.
Yeah. Me too. That's what I said. Yeah.
Okay. So we're talking about adopting as written.
Okay. So who motioned? Cynthia?
I
Okay.
moved and I believe Chair Villa seconded.
Oh, good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
We never need this. Gosh. Let's hope those days are kind of over.
Right?
Alrighty. What do I do with my agenda now? Okay. Next, we have parking limits.
Aye. Aye.
Here, Avenue and letter.
Okay. And I did do a little bit of revision to the letter. I can't remember if it was before or after I got my $71 parking ticket. And I had a great talk with Mr. Britton from the county Public Works Department. He hadn't gotten back to me, and it turns out he had been out for personal leave, and he happens to be a vehicle code nerd, and he actually has been studying the parking thing on Pier Avenue, and so our the call was landed at a very good time for him, and I had a good conversation with him. He said that he was going to be doing more research on it, that he believed that yes, in fact, that is a county road. He is, let me see, how can I put this? He thinks it is a legitimate concern that State Parks is doing the ticketing and getting the money. Not that he's necessarily looking to increase county revenues. I was on this weekend, there were probably, I saw cars, maybe 15 or 20 cars with $70 parking tickets on them. Because people just aren't thinking like, why would I not be able to park here at 8 o'clock in the morning coming to the beach? And I mean, the signs are there, so they weren't paying attention like a lot of, like me and a lot of people. But it's a pretty quick way for the parks to pick up $1,000, $1,500 in the morning.
Yeah.
And so he said that an issue with it is all the timing is set up for the street sweepers, and he said an issue will be in terms of moving that time to something like the street sweepers work between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. is noise ordinances, and that the noise of a street sweeper violates the decibel levels for evening hours.
Yes.
And that could be a real issue. But he was very much open to having further discussion. He said he happily awaited our letter, and that would allow him then to respond to us, and he would respond with some depth. Mr. Pierce, the director of the state parks, I haven't had really any more discussion with him on this issue, and I haven't had any discussion with Lynn Compton's office, and I'm probably not the person to be point on it with Lynn Compton from the advisory council.
And why would that be, Charles?
Lynn Supervisor Compton does not like me.
She doesn't like any of us, really.
Well,
I can't say she likes me either.
Yeah.
April, have you had any interactions with Lynn Compton yet?
I've worked with Caleb on several things and had nothing but help and
mhm.
whatever.
Tell me maybe,
I'm happy to be point person, absolutely.
All right.
there we go.
Okay.
Thank you, April.
Of course. I was going to offer, but I was waiting until we had a second.
Well, I will, if there aren't any changes to the draft that you have, then we can move forward, you know, voting on it. And then it will, I mean, I think typically it comes, the letter is written on behalf of the council by Chair Villa. And it would go out to the three, to Mr. Brighton, Mr. Pierce, Supervisor Compton, and then AJ, maybe, and then you could follow up personally with Caleb and maybe, and talk with Lynn about it. I mean, I think the ask is not, I mean, I think it's definitely within the room of reasonableness, and it is a burden on people not finding parking. There is the alternative of there's the state parking lot right there that has, it sets vacant. There's, you know, they have the little sandwich board sitting there, do not enter, and it's just an empty parking lot. And right now, I mean, Oceano Beach has become extremely popular with folks. Weekends, it's packed. As an aside, I have had some discussions with the state park personnel about and the county about the garbage there. The dumpster gets totally filled up. There was one week, about a week and a half ago, it was just filthy. I mean, the seagulls were in there. They'd thrown everything around. I mean, and the state parks has their crews that come in, and they do a great job cleaning up and emptying the 2 or 3 trash barrels that are there. But I guess and it's still not clear if I think the county is responsible for the big dumpster. And the parks can call and demand that it be emptied. And I talked with the maintenance supervisor, and he is being more diligent about that. And things have improved over the last few days down there. So that's the whole drama on Pier Avenue right now. So I guess that really the next step would be to approve the letter for distribution as it's as written, and we'll move forward with it.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Charles, were you able to read the report that I provided to go with the agenda?
Help me remember, AJ.
It's attached to our agenda right now.
Yeah, I think that I read, didn't you send it out a while ago to everybody in a personal email?
Sure did not, no.
And I apologize, I have not read it.
Okay. I sent it to whoever is in charge of the agenda so that it could be attached to the agenda. I'm used to working under the Brown Act group, so we're not allowed to talk to each other outside of the meetings, etc. So you won't get any kind of email from me that's what we're all going to be voting on. I wrote a 3-page report of my.
Excuse me, April.
Sure.
The advisory council is not a Brown Act organization.
I know, that's why I said what I said.
Okay, I'm sorry, I missed that. Go ahead.
I said I'm aware they're not. I'm used to operating that way. So I'm used to not communicating with everyone en masse outside of a meeting. So no, to answer Charles' question, you did not get an email from me with this 3-page report. So with that in mind, there are a number of things that we did get to, I did, but I'm sharing them. We got some answers on that you put in this letter that I think we could narrowcast this letter to get some particular items addressed by District 4, by the county at the county level, that we already know the answers to, like handicap parking or parking on the street or the signage, etc. So if you had read that letter, I don't know, then we would have known, you could know more about what I'm trying to say.
Right, and I sincerely apologize for not doing that. I'm getting it right now. Okay, I see it. I'm fine with if you want to delay this until later, so that I have a chance to read this. I'm happy to do that, and I apologize again.
I like to comment.
Go ahead and share.
Thank you. I sent an email to everyone with the suggestions from the Oceano Beach Community Associations on parking. I hope you read that. It wasn't very big. We think that parking on Pure Avenue is a huge issue. It's tremendous. And to just address it, Charles, with your letter in which we ask for a couple of more parking spots from 7 to 9, I think it is not enough. And I think it puts us in a position of just asking for crumbs when we really need to ask for the big thing, which does include a handicap, includes a drop-off, includes a day use, includes a reinvention of Pure Avenue as a complete street with bike routes, pedestrian routes, and more parking to allow people to park and go to the beach. So I would suggest that we send a letter in which we say that we are very grieved by the situation of parking on Pure Avenue, and we're going to have a meeting with whoever is in charge of parking. And then we bring it to the council, and then we sit down and tell all our grievances and tell them what we want. That we want, we want, for example, State Park has been taking advantage of Pure Avenue and Oceano for decades. State Parks should allocate some parking in its property. I mean, State Parks has the responsibility to provide parking for beachgoers that are not motorized. So it's State Parks' responsibility to provide parking because the county has none. That's all there is. So, so that's the one thing. We need to call State Parks to its responsibility. We need to find out why all of that side of State Parks is red and we can park on it. So we really needed to kind of just bring the question up rather than start making suggestions, because the suggestions are humongous in my opinion. So we ask for a meeting. We ask for somebody from the county to come to our meeting and listen to our grievances and our requests.
I like the direction of the letter to be that. I think that's an excellent idea. Having read what Charles and whoever had created originally with this letter, I think that it opens a dialogue that we can get answers for before we say, we want this, this, and this. We need to understand why things are the way that they are. Why is the street time limited? They may tell Charles that it's because of street sweeping, but I've been down there from 5 o'clock in the morning until 9 o'clock in the morning, multiple days in a row, and never see a street sweeper at all. So we need to know the facts so that we can ask for what we want. And when they tell us why they can't do it, we already know the facts that contradict what they're trying to tell us. Mm-hmm. That's my suggestion.
I would say more. I think that we need to have State Parks to at the meeting too, because the State Parks is responsible for the situation on Pure Avenue right now. So we need both of them to be accountable and to tell us what the situation is, and let them know what we think. Yeah.
So I would, I think that is eventually, that should be our goal, to have the state parks and the county come together with a citizens council to discuss this. It's a, and I don't know, AJ, if you got this impression, but it's sort of like it's a weird setup, and it's the parking regulations have changed. I think Mr. Britton told me, like Brighton, that it, like, I don't know, like 4 times or so in the last decade, that hours have changed, and these, you know, who empties this garbage can versus that garbage can. There's 2 different entities that sweep the streets and all of, and I
There are
just
actually 3 entities that sweep the streets.
3.
Sweep the streets, I found.
Yeah. So I think that given all the great work that you've done, AJ, on this, on your research, that we definitely need to update the letter with this, all of your stuff makes it much stronger. And I think it just in terms of, you know, we may want to be careful about what we include in the letter, and we kind of keep behind just in terms of our research here. But how about you and I mean, if you're, and I agree with Cynthia, I mean, there's no reason why you and I could not collaborate on redrafting this original letter to make it the best it can be for the council. That's no violation. And like she said, that we're not a Brown Act thing.
Right. We're not. And we can be a committee of 2. We're not the majority, 2 of them.
Right. So why don't you and I do that? And, you know, I would not be opposed. I mean, if we want to, depending on the intensity of us wanting to be timely around this, I don't see any reason why, well, I don't know if we want to have a special meeting to approve the letter. I don't know about, even since we're not Brown Act, if we could distribute the letter and then have a email vote on it.
We can do that.
Sure. Because it's not like we're not trying to sneak anything by anybody. We just want to get this ball rolling, and we want to get it rolling with a good, appropriate little kick.
I absolutely agree with all of that, and I think that you and I could massage the letter to be more of these are the conversations we would like to have. This is what we know. This is what we don't know, and we would like to use these topics to create a meeting between the entities and us to get some resolution. The sooner the better, and then whatever we can do down the road as well, we'll move towards both those goals.
Totally, and framing it with the goal of, this is about community being able to have access to the beach. Absolutely. And that means places to park their cars.
Right. It's not about you got a ticket or I want to surf, or it's about the community is being disadvantaged because state parks has taken over a community, or a county-owned area that and now they're taking our money and they're not providing us services that we need, like street sweeping happening, like being allowed to park on our street when there is no street sweeper coming. And my question is, if it's supposed to be about the street sweeper, then why does all of the Strand section not have any parking restrictions at all?
No, there is not the same amount of sweeping on Pier Avenue than there is on the Strand. I looked into this myself.
Absolutely, I agree.
And there is the Pier Avenue. The last I spoke and I had my research done, Pier Avenue gets swept. It was, I don't know now with COVID, but the schedule is every single morning. And I don't know the streets on the Strand are not. They don't have that kind of sand. No. Right. I do agree that we need a good letter to kick the ball and to, first of all, not to ask for anything, but to demand that we get together and we get some answers. That's really what we need to do. And it doesn't have to be in a hurry, but it has to be quick, because listen, there is a good chance that the beach will not reopen to vehicles on October 1st.
Correct.
So, and we want to take care of our parking situation before that. Like State Park's campground is empty. Why couldn't we use it as parking while it's empty? See, that's a question that needs to be asked. So we need to kind of get it done as soon as we can. You know what I mean?
With Charles anytime, Charles. Other than tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I think that AJ and I have our marching directions, and we'll get on this and then get something back to you as soon as it's reasonable.
Mhm.
And I would just remind us we're at 6:47 and we all turn into pumpkins at 7 unless we vote to not be pumpkins for another 15 minutes.
I vote
Can I suggest that the letter be a Google Doc, which would be easy for everybody to see and comment on instead of.
Yes, absolutely.
absolutely.
If you want to send me something, I can set it up in the OAC folder and share it with everybody. And I just wanted to thank April for putting together that report and doing all that great research and meeting with people and everything. That's very thorough and much appreciated.
Hard to ask for something if you don't know what you really need to ask for.
Uh-huh. And there are a lot of questions surrounding this issue.
Well, we've learned a lot. We've learned, that's our money. That's county money. Why is it being taken away from us by state parks? That's something the OAC should really care about.
Thank you, April. That was a very detailed 2-page letter that you wrote. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
So are we done?
Yes.
Okay, next is the downsizing of the PO box. We have discussed that, Charles. Were you able to do that?
I have a report on that finally. We can absolutely downsize the box. The process for that is for the head of the organization to visit the Oceano post office with probably a official OAC document that says you're the chair. And I'm not saying this it's a big formality, but then they know who you are, and they will basically cancel our current box. We fill out a new form for a smaller box, right? All this all happens at once. They either refund our unexpended money or roll that over into paying for the box, the smaller box, and I would be happy to go there with you with the checkbook to pay for any additional charges. So if we can just arrange a time to do that together sometime next week.
Okay, you could just email me and we can get a time that will work out for both of us and we can head down there.
Okay, all right, good enough.
Okay, next we have on our list the cannabis tax income in Oceano.
Yeah.
So that's an issue that Becca Venturini was looking into. I don't know if anyone else is wanting to carry that ball or if maybe it should just drop off the agenda.
I carry that ball. I want to carry that ball because I think there's a lot of money there.
So as we've talked about this, I think it's clear that in order for us to be getting dedicated tax money from cannabis businesses in the unincorporated area of the county is going to be a huge political undertaking that probably without allies in other unincorporated areas or a whole lot of massive commitment on our part to hours of organizing and mobilizing citizens is not going to really happen. I mean, the county's already been down this road in terms of how they're getting their money, cannabis tax money from unincorporated areas. And I don't know of any unincorporated area that has any dedicated money coming back to them. That doesn't mean that we could not be the first ones to move forward with that. But I don't know. I think then it would be incumbent on us in terms of who wants to step up to really take that on and charge with it, or we decide that that's not a high priority for us now, and we keep our eyes open in terms of possibilities and look for other people who are doing similar things that we might be able to team up with in the future. Just kind of thinking strategically around it and what resources we have.
Okay, so what you're saying, Charles, what I hear you saying is that this will take a tremendous amount of effort and will require allies, and we don't have the allies now, so we need, basically, it's just too much work.
Well, I think in a nutshell, and Aline, it might be, I mean, I think you could give Lynn Compton a call and just kind of like, float the idea, that, it's come up. I mean, we're not the first people in an unincorporated advisory council to think about like, well, how can we get our piece of the action of cannabis businesses? We happen to have probably a lot more than most of them, and ask her, just kind of float the question out there, like, what would we need to do to see about Oceano getting some dedicated money back from those cannabis businesses operating in our services district? And just see kind of what reception you get. Or if like she goes, yeah, I've been thinking about that, Aline, and maybe you guys.
Yes.
In fact, just like light up a doobie here and talk about it,
What does it mean when you say dedicated money, what do you mean a dedicated money?
That it would be, it's like that the county, let's say, collects a 5% tax on every cannabis sale. Then they would dedicate 1% of that would come to where? To Oceano Community Services District, to the advisory council.
It will set aside the person. It will set
Right,
aside.
yeah, specifically, like, like 1%, 1.5%, 1/2 of 1%. That's what I mean by dedicated.
Exactly. To whom? To a fund. Yeah, we need Compton. We must have Compton on this. We can't do it alone.
And the only entity, and I think Cynthia could probably weigh in on this more knowledgeably than me, but really the only empowered public entity is OCSD.
That's correct, unless the Board of Supervisors would want to dedicate it to, this is going to go to parks funding for Oceano.
Right, okay, yeah.
I agree with Charles' assessment. This is a pretty heavy lift, and you could call up Lynn Compton and ask her, but I think she'd probably just be laughing inside, if not openly, at the question. I don't know of any case where the Board of Supervisors has specifically dedicated tax money that they collect in a particular unincorporated area back to that unincorporated area.
No.
And she's not been a champion for Oceano. We're ways from election year, so I don't see that getting any traction with our supervisor representative.
Mm-hmm.
But I could find out how much exactly Oceano is making with the sales here, right?
Of the county.
Yeah, that would be a matter of calling the correct county office of regulation or enforcement and they would be the people that would have that. They would definitely have that data, and it would be, it's public data.
Mm-hmm.
How much tax revenue are they getting?
It's been a little while since I asked, but at the time, none of the businesses had opened yet.
Mm-hmm.
But we got all the permits came before us for the non-storefront businesses and the one manufacturing business. So I don't know if they're actually operating at this point, or it's possible COVID put a quash on some of those business plans too.
Okay. Well, I could inquire and see.
Yeah.
You could just know what we're missing out on.
Yeah.
We're missing out on a lot. If Nature's Healing Center consumer traffic is any indication, we're missing out on a lot.
Oh, yes. I know.
In Oceano, we have manufacturing and we have delivery.
Yes.
You know, there's no brick and mortar, but there's plenty of money there.
Okay, moving on to something that is, well, controversial still.
No.
ODSVRA Coastal Commission updates and action items.
Madam Chair, we've got 2 minutes left before we hit the 90-minute mark.
Yeah. Yeah. There isn't much new on the ODSVRA. We can just quickly get it over with. You know that we are all waiting for the big September meeting, right, Alina? Isn't that September? The big October. October meeting is when the state parks will present the new plan. So if you want more information, get on the OBCA website and we have more specific information. But there isn't much happening right now.
Hopefully you can participate with public comment. Thank you, Cynthia, for your great presentations that I've seen there. And the more people, the better, so that they know that we care and we're standing up for Oceano and we're tired of it.
The OCBA presentation was fantastic the other day.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, we will have, we're working on it. Yes, because the OBCA is kind of working on a counter plan, you know, that is the community's ideas for what has to happen with the ODSVRA for the next 4 years. But since we show it to everybody, other changes are happening because we had a chance to share it with Eric Howell, who is a commissioner, and we kind of want his input. So we are kind of detailing it so that he will support it. I think it's been wonderful. So we will have another show for those who didn't see it, okay? Yeah.
Thank you.
And, yeah, and we are presenting it to different agencies. We are lobbying Grover Beach, AG.
Lucia?
Yeah.
I think that's more like a report on the OPCA.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
Okay. So do we want to, okay, the next on our list is the Curb Gutter Sidewalk Committee. I don't know what we can do about this. I've had a couple of people this last week talk to me about sidewalks, that they would love sidewalks, they can't afford them, and what we are doing to make that possible. And I'm just like, I want them too, but it's just so frustrating with us getting sidewalks here in Oceano.
I don't know.
I think this will be an appropriate kind of topic, maybe kind of a specific one for, you know, a candidate forum. And
Yeah.
I would suggest for right now, we kick this to the curb.
Okay, we
No
kick it.
pun intended.
We kick it to the curb,
Sorry.
but it is like something the candidates are probably going to get a lot of this. So be thinking of your answers.
So
Because-
sidewalks is not something in the purview of the OCSD.
Yeah.
I don't know why this would be part of the candidate forum.
Yeah, I remember Compton saying very clearly and laughing, Cynthia, you're right. She laughed. She laughed and she said, ha, 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 ha. Sidewalks, we don't give money for sidewalks. We never give to anybody. It's up to the individual property owner to put them in.
That's not the case.
I understand that, that it's on the purview, but if people participate and they get a chance to ask a question, that's probably a question that more than a couple of people are going to have, because that is like, besides fireworks, it's sidewalks. That's all I hear.
Yeah.
Well, we can talk about fireworks because the OCSD does have an ordinance regarding fireworks, but
Yeah.
sidewalks is a county issue.
Yeah.
And the county ordinance needs to be changed. So
Right.
OCSD representatives can't do anything about it. And that's gonna have to be the answer. Yeah, it's just like my views on the dunes. They have nothing to do with what I can do on the OCSD.
Yeah.
But we are after 7 p.m. So I think we need to either wrap up the meeting or decide we want to extend it by, vote to extend it by 15 minutes.
I move we extend it by no more than 15 minutes.
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Um, I think the next topic is mine again, the vacation rental density in Oceano. I don't have anything really new to say about this. However, Morro Bay is in the midst of drafting some new, detailed, well thought out guidelines for vacation rentals. And they already have vacation rental guidelines on the books. The county has some vacation rental guidelines on the books as well, which are not being enforced in Oceano. So I'm thinking that Morro Bay could be perhaps a good model for us if and when we really get to be able to be serious about this. And I can tell you after the November election, I'll have more time and energy for this. And I plan to, do some work on it and get other people involved. So that would be my report on that for tonight.
Thank you, Charles. Local accessory dwelling unit ordinance.
I guess this was mine too. I got to keep my mouth shut.
I don't know.
We're holding you to that.
Well, this was like really kind of goes back to curb gutters and sidewalks and stuff like that. That these local accessory ADUs, when you have to, and I'll just say this quickly, when you want to do an improvement like this, then it triggers the requirement that you put in curb gutter and sidewalk, which oftentimes costs more than the thing or the little improvement project you're trying to do on your house. And so we talked about how could we get some special dispensation or, that, and there is some of that built into the county ordinance around it. So this is still kind of in process, but it's trying to support more housing for lower income people and the people that would like to do that as either investment or having more of their family members be able to live on the property without being hammered by the requirements of curb gutter and sidewalk. That's it.
Okay. Next we have treasurer report, Charles.
Okay. So we are all settled into our new SESLOC account. Currently, our balance today is $962.91. We had expenditures of $149.90 for our annual Zoom account that we are meeting with right now. We had a payment of $104 for our website and our website hosting and our URL and that kind of stuff. And that was something that Becca Venturini did for us and was finally able to reimburse her. Of course, I have all the receipts for it. when we finally got this account active. And, and we paid $13 for checks that will probably last beyond my lifetime.
Yeah.
So that's,
How many
so
checks did you get,
962 bucks.
Charles?
Huh?
How many checks did you get?
You get 100.
And- Good answer, Charles.
Hey, we only do one a year.
That's funny.
All right, so that's it. We're so we've got some money in the kitty if we need to, we may need to spend a little money on the forum, candidate forum. I don't know what expenses might be involved there. Maybe hiring a professional meeting manager for $50 or something. I don't know.
Thank you, Charles.
You're welcome.
Next on the list, we got the OBCA president, Lucia.
Yes, we had a very successful community cleanup last week. We had 12 people show up. We finished cleaning up the first alley. We need to name the alleys. We just call it the first because it's the first we took on. And it's a great way to involve people. It's awesome. All the neighbors, get to know what's going on, and we talk to them. We are in the process of adopting the alley formally with the OCSD, so that we will be in charge of keeping them clean, and there will be our logo and our sign on the alley saying adopted by the OBCA, and please keep it clean. We also adopted the Oceano Beach at Pier for the September coastal cleanup, which is going to be very different though. We haven't gotten any direction yet the way it used to be. So if we don't get directions from ECO's law, we are going to organize it, our own cleanups. Stay tuned. We will send out a newsletter, and we will have a coastal cleanup on Pier more than once in September, probably 2 or 3 Saturdays. We have not decided the times and the places yet, but there will be. And then, as I was saying, we are preparing a vision for what we want for Pier Avenue, for our beachfront, for the entire beach, which we will distribute, which we will present to the Coastal Commission, to state parks, and to our neighboring towns. Some of you watched it already. I urge you, please, to make sure that you come to the next presentation. And then postcards. We have issued hundreds of postcards to invite people to with already addresses to the governor, to Crowfoot, and even to Compton. We're making some that have to go to Compton. They are on a shelf in my porch, and come and get them. Go to the beach, pass them out. Pass them out as many as you can. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so next is my turn, and then we're almost done. So I'm going to talk about Oceano Community Service District. Our last meeting, we were introduced to the ordinance that I'd spoken to the majority of you about, the water increase that most of you probably know about. And on this ordinance, the meeting is going to be October 14th at 6 p.m. And it's already going to be, everyone's going to duly noticed to this hearing to protest and have their concerns heard. As we discussed, it's going to be a 33% increase, 13, 10, and 10. We decided that that was the best way to go about it. And in this meeting, we all of the directors accepted or voted on all the changes that we were in agreement. We have discussed them, and this time they were adopted or accepted formally. So this is something that had to be done. Otherwise, we would have been in a couple of years. The manager said we would have been in really bad situation. So it was something that had to be done. And like I don't know how many of you know, but it's going to change the whole way it's set up. So instead of having the 4 tiers, we're going to have 2 tiers. It is going to give a break to multi-family homes. So people living in trailers, apartments, and condos, they will be paying less. It about 25% less because of the fact that they, don't require as much maintenance and all that stuff. And also, it got rid of the 6 unit, the first 6 units being charged no matter if you used it or not. So it's more equitable, more in line with how things should be. And yes, that's basically it. We decided that those changes were pretty fair. And we also went over the budget, okay, for the whole year. So the OCSD did very well with the budget. We were slightly under on everything. There are some things, of course, like the water fund that's like not doing well, but that's going to be taken care of with a water increase. So that's why we needed it. But we knew from the very beginning, like when the budget was adopted last year, that it was not operating, in the black, that it was like we were below where we were supposed to be. So the good thing is that we did have some perks. I believe it's $42,000 more. I'm just off the top of my head. $42,000 more property tax from the homes than was expected. So that was a good thing. Yeah, besides that, any questions?
No.
I'm trying to talk as much as I can.
If I could just add, the OCSD is operating at a deficit for fire and emergency services for the next several years until another ballot initiative comes before the voters of Oceano to fund a special tax out of property taxes and pay for the 5 Cities Fire Authority. We are drawing down money that we have saved to pay for 5 Cities Fire Authority at a level that is not covered by existing property taxes for the next couple of years. So we're deficit spending on that.
Yeah, but we didn't go over. That was kind of it's something that we already knew about. So overall, we kept what I meant to say was that we kept within our spending limits with what we had. We could use more money, and unfortunately, the fire tax didn't pass.
I got to disagree with you there. We're not spending within our budget for fire and emergency services, and the decision of the voters was not respected.
Okay. Alrighty. So then we have the discussion for next agenda, notices and correspondence.
I have no notices, and I think you forwarded all the correspondence that you received, Chair Villa.
Yes, I did.
I also have nothing new for the next agenda. So does anyone have anything to add that we aren't carrying over?
Probably just have the letter on Pier Avenue.
Yeah, that's a carryover item.
And move from new business or stay in old business. Yeah. And the same with the candidate forum, that'll move to old business.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. All
right.
Well, if there's nothing else, I move we adjourn.
A second.
Click the leave button if you agree.
Is that how we're doing democracy now?
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. That was lovely.